Hi, welcome to Knits Up. I'm Mindy, your hostess, otherwise known as Knitter CNY. You can find the podcast group, Knits Up Podcast Group, over on Ravelry, and you can find me on YouTube. If you're looking for show notes, I'm going to be trying to put them up, but I can't guarantee that I always will. This stuff probably will not make it up to Ravelry because this is a special episode. I went to an auction with my best friend, who's known as Minuet Knitter on Ravelry. We've been friends for over 10 years, and she sent me a Facebook post of there's this auction nearby us, and here's the yarn. And there was like 4 or 5 tables, shelves crammed full of yarn. It looked like a yarn shop had gone out of business or something, so we decided we'd go. We were a little bit late because I was trying to move my car at our house and missed the black ice on the stairs and fell down some deck stairs and landed on my butt on the bottom stair. So I got a little bit of pulled back, but we're taking naproxen and muscle relaxants that the doctor prescribed for me with that, and I'm feeling better each day. Today's Sunday and it happened Friday night after work. So despite falling down the stairs, I still went to the auction. And it was good. We actually arrived late, and so we were standing in the back, which was probably the best thing because nothing had a chance to seize up and when I sat down or anything. We were there a long time. They would do some stuff like, you know, here's a box of wiper blades, $10 for that, blah, blah, blah. And then they'd bid, and they'd go back and forth with yarn, and they'd say, okay, you know, who give me 10? And you'd go up and pick, you know, as many as you wanted, and then you tell the auctioneer's helper, you know, how many you picked. Well, we went high at the beginning, and then we figured out what was going on, and then waited, and it went down and down and down. And finally, at the end of the auction, they were going for about $15 per bag, and then at the very end they went down to $8. But by then the two of us had decided we had spent enough money and that we were already standing in line to leave because we were ready to go home. So I'm going to show you what I've got. The first thing I'm going to say is I'll put some pictures in at the end. One is of my friend Minuet Knitter with her haul of what she got. She didn't spend a whole lot of money, but she was mostly looking for acrylics because she does a lot of baby knits for friends and relatives, other people at her work that get pregnant, that sort of thing. So she really doesn't use wool or wool blends, and this had a lot of wool and wool blends, so she really picked out what she wanted. They had a whole bunch of patterns too. I'll put in a picture of that too because I spent $7 was the base price, and then you paid tax and also a 10% buyer's premium, which means the auction house gets 10% of, you know, above and beyond what you pay at the auction. So I bought this whole stack full of stuff, and there was a lot of duplicates, which led me to believe it was a yarn store that went out of business. I pulled out the stuff that I'm keeping that I really like, and I thought I'd show you a little bit of those. A lot of these are Plymouth patterns. This is, you know, they're old. They're probably from 1995 to 2005 maybe. And this is a really nice just pullover, V-neck pullover. And then there were some of those Back to Basics books. I don't know if you've ever seen these. These were popular back in the 90s-ish. But if you can get your hands on one, it's well worth it. They're called Back to Basics, and it's basically a pattern book, but what it does is it puts everything in a chart so that you look down the grid and you can see what size you're making, and it'll say, you know, like cast on blank stitches, and then there'll be a grid across and it'll tell you how many to cast on. So I got set-in sleeves for cardigans, drop shoulder sleeves. I got classic cardigans, which looks to be a mix of drop shoulder and raglan is what it looks like to me. Although I think one of them has set-in sleeves on this one. So they're size 32 to 50. And then I got knitted seamless raglans. I believe this is the original one. They're like pullovers basically. There was this Patton's Beehive Chunky pattern for some Nordic knitting sweaters. It's just a one-page pattern with a chart on the back. Pretty easy to follow. And then there were a couple of these, which was, and I don't know German or Danish or anything, so I'm assuming it's Gestal magazine. It looks like it might be in Norwegian. Stricken design, which is knitting. I know stricken is knitting in a bunch of different languages. So there was this cover sweater. There's these sweaters. That. This must have been a Plymouth yarn at some point. So it's Norwegian, that must be. And then there were some other sweaters in here. Like so. And then there was another issue of this magazine that I thought was cute. I like those kind of, you know, that Norwegian-y kind of look. And I've got some bulky yarn in this stash. Probably not any of these because I don't want to do double-stranded knitting the entire way. Some pretty simple shaker knit sweaters and some other stuff. Sort of like, almost like a Lopi design, that reminds me of. Ugly Houndstooth. Some Fluffy's 80-rific cables. I think they speak for themselves. And then just some really plain, simple cardigans. So that's probably what I'm keeping out of all of those books. I may do a giveaway at some point and give away a lot of those patterns. I don't know how many people are really interested in them. And it would be podcaster's choice to put them in the mail to somebody. More than likely, though, I'll probably just go to a knitting meetup sometime and just bring them and be like, here, take them. We'll see how that goes. But I bought, between the patterns, the yarn, I spent, and this is including the buyer's premium and the tax. So my base price would have been 80% of what I paid total. Because we have 8% tax in that county with county and state, and we have a 10% buyer's premium, so I rounded up to 20. So I spent probably about $200, but what I got for $200 is very impressive because it's all bagged. The first thing I got is 10 skeins of Encore worsted. This is just 75% acrylic and 25% wool. This shade, it says color 0256, which I believe is like a natural color, but it's bagged. There's 200 yards in each skein, so that's 2,000 yards of this. So I can definitely make a sweater out of that. And when I looked, that was going for, I believe, $6 a skein. So 6 times 10 is $60 retail for that. So, and then I got 9 skeins of another Encore worsted, which is color number 355, which is sort of a burgundy and whatever mix. I'm not taking this out of the bag, but you get the idea. Sort of a burgundy-ish color. So now we're up to 19 skeins. So 60 minus 6 would be $54. So that's $114 worth of yarn just there retail. I got 2 packs of this, 2 5-packs of Galway color number 1, which is a natural color. This is 100% wool. This is approximately 210 yards, so this is 2,100 yards. So definitely a sweater's worth. When I looked, I think this was going for $8 or $9. Let's say 8 to be conservative. So 8 times 10 is 80. So 114 plus 80 is 194. So 194. And then my last bunch of yarn is a little bit different. It's a Peyton's, which is, it's called Norspun. I think it's supposed to simulate Lopi and be like a Lopi type of yarn, but this is 75% acrylic and 25% wool. This is made in Canada, distributed in the USA by Susan Bates, Greenville, North Carolina. So my bet is that probably at some point they had spin this maybe. But this is a little bit older, but it looks good. It's sort of, I don't know how to describe it. You can kind of see there, it's almost like it's trying to simulate a Lopi color. And this color is 6741. 100 grams is, oh, tell me. Okay, so they're 3.5 ounces a piece, and they're 164 yards. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I have 10 of the purplish blue color. And then I have some other colors of it that were just randomly in a bag. There's one that's sort of a cornflower light blue. There's 2 of them that are that sort of color. They call it color 6740. And then there's 2 of a lighter pink like this. That is color 6739. So I've got, so if we 10, 12, 14, 15. So I have 15 skeins of that. And that knits up as a, let's see, 15 stitches to 10 inches. So that's a bulky weight. So they are trying to simulate a Lopi, which is cool. Because if I can wash it, that would be outstanding. Machine wash, lukewarm, gentle cycle, dry flat. Probably because of the way it's spun. But anyways, so I have 15 skeins of that. So I almost had $200 worth of yarn with just retail, with just what I had bought previously. But all of this puts it over the top. So I think I got a very good deal. That's 4 sweater quantities worth of yarn for my size. I tend to wear a 3X or a 4X. So I think I did pretty good. this was, I looked up later because we were trying to figure out where this yarn had come from, because I hadn't heard of any yarn stores going out of business lately. But as I was going through the patterns, I found a label on one of them that said the name of the shop. So I looked it up, and what it was somebody from an outlying community more towards the Utica area had passed away around Christmas time. And there was an obituary for the gentleman, and he had had a gift shop, a yarn shop, and was an Air Force veteran, but he had done all these things over the years. And when the yarn shop had closed, and it was actually noted in his obituary that he loved to find a complex knitting pattern that was the most intricate one he could do and make sweaters and stuff. So that's really cool. So the yarn is going to be put to good use. I don't normally go out and buy yarn like this, but my parents, I was telling my friend, my parents, when they were young newlyweds, for entertainment, now we're talking 50 years ago, because my mom has passed, my dad is in a nursing home, but when they were young and needed some excitement on a Friday or Saturday night, they would go to an auction up the couple communities away from us. They had a Friday or a Saturday night auction house, and they would, bid on stuff, $1-2. You're talking back in the 60s, early 70s. And so it kind of like reminded me of that. And their parents had both gone to auctions. My great-grandmother got a lot of stuff from auctions. There's sets of flatware where all of us grandkids, all of us great-grandkids got some silverware, because my great-grandmother would get a basic set of something, pick up whatever at a bargain basement price, and then she'd go from auction to auction or yard sale to yard sale, and she'd pick up, oh, this matches the set I got at home. She had like 3 or 4 full sets of silverware, just in the back of the pantry. So that's kind of cool. Once in a lifetime opportunity. I think that's not the kind of thing that comes across every day, where you have so much yarn at one place. There were a lot of people buying a lot of it, because once you got a price, you could go and pick as many as you wanted at that price, and then you would tell the auctioneer, like I said, how many you got. So I got 4 full sweater worths for my size, a bunch of magazines, and everything for about $200. So I think I did very well. Put comments below of what you think. If you've ever come across a bargain like that, share your experiences. I'll start a thread for this. And I hope you guys have a great week. Go show me what you're knitting on. And I think I've got some ideas for some patterns here. But if you've got any ideas for some patterns, let me know. Have a great week, guys. Bye-bye.